to today's episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat. I'm Karen Scott Green.
And I'm Kat Hardrick.
And we are here today with
Antonio Hicks.
All right.
And Antonio is an IT guy. And so Kat and I were interested in how he got into the field and how young people also could get into IT in ways that they can use a technology background and what they can do with it. And so, Antonio, or Mr. Hicks, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
So I started in IT. My dad got me IT at the age of 10. So I'm 44 now. So, and he's a retired bellhead.
So you started on a compact computer.
On the Commodore 60. I started on the Commodore 64.
Okay.
Yeah.
From Radio Shack.
Yeah.
Wow. So that was a big box.
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
If you know what Commodore was, they had the big bottom portion of it with the huge big butt monitor on there. Everything used a floppy drive. If y'all people know, not the floppy drive, not the actual hard floppies, the 3.5 floppies that came.
They were the big black ones.
Yeah, it looked like an album, a vinyl album.
Yeah, like a square.
Right.
Yeah.
Ooh, for the young folks, we don't have to put a picture.
They don't know anything about that. They don't know anything about that. Oh, that's funny. Yes, we would have to put a picture.
Because they were like, what's a floppy? Because they're going to think about the 3.5 floppy that came out, but they don't know about...
They don't know about the 3.5.
No.
Oh.
No, I was laughing at Lizzo because she brought out her new CD, and she was talking about, I got this new amazing take out and pull back from 1990, and it's a CD. Because everybody used to stream it. But she was in it as a joke. Because nobody think about, CDs no more or DVDs.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
this is true.
Although I still have my collection, so...
I have mine. I have nothing to play them on.
I do. I mean, I still got a CD player in my car, but I never use it. It's just
I do have a CD player in my car, too.
Yeah, I don't even think new cars. Well, I think new cars
do
still
have a
come
CD
with
player in my car. That's not true. I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Look at technology.
But I've got something stuck in there, so I can't.
I do too. It's my phone holder. Yeah, I don't. Because I won't ever use it anyway.
No, she literally got
Like you literally got something stuck in there?
Stuck in there that I can't get. I don't even know if it's a CD. Whatever it is, I can't get a CD in there.
What?
But we digress.
I know, right?
Yeah, so
that's what happens with conversations.
That's what we do.
So I got introduced with my dad. Like I said, he's a retired bell baby. He retired after 45 years. And how he brought it home to us was because I'm from Macon. So I'm born and raised Georgia.
Georgia.
That people that, those don't haven't heard of me. I am from Macon. And in Macon, it's a small town. So especially at that time. So you don't have too many things that you can do. Either you're working in the chalk mines, you're working in some of the warehouses there, and or you're working in Southern Bell at the time before it got split up because one of the main Bell baby. So my dad was one of the lead, I guess he was the lead engineers here in the state of Georgia that introduced fiber when fiber was first rolled out.
Did you say fiber?
Fiber optic cables, yeah.
Okay.
And this is before our fiber optics became mainstream.
Okay.
And so because it was new tech, he brought it home to me and my brother. I'm a middle child, so I have an older brother and younger sister. But he wanted to make sure myself and my older brother, we knew about technology and we had some skills in it. Whether we want to do it or not, he wanted to make sure we knew about it. So he brought a cable home, showed us how he spliced the cable, and then he introduced us to what he did as far as configurations on the computer and showed, especially myself included, how to do like basic programming. That's basic is the actual language, basic programming on the computer. So from that point on, it was like I knew I always wanted to be. I didn't become a software engineer. So I did learn how to do coding, but I ended up, because of jobs, I was later on down the line, after, I got a degree in computer science and doing, later on doing security, but I got introduced to, I went to local community college.
Okay.
So Bell South called me because my whole family worked at Bell South and they wanted me to come in as a manager. Well, my parents and everybody else were union people and we all know about unions and unions, they like the Bloods and the Crips. You gotta stick with the union.
That's a joke.
I know, right?
It's a gang though. They're like a family. So you don't, if you're a part of the union, you don't leave the union and go into management. Management is considered an enemy. And so me listening to that, I didn't do it. I came in as a regular engineer and I was doing network engineering. And so I eventually did work my way up. After 2 years. They offered me somebody came to me, this guy Ronnie White came to me and asked me if I want to get into leadership. And those that haven't heard my story, shout out to Ronnie White because I was one of those techie, nerdy people that was an introvert. Only thing I want to do was just give me my work, let me do it, and leave me the hell alone.
Right.
But he saw something in me to be able, as far as leadership goes, to be able to speak out and lead a team of people. And he's the one that influenced me to get into management. And that's how I eventually developed my own voice.
Wow, that's a blessing.
To think about your question, like getting people introduced to technology, I was one of those people. I talked about on my radio show last night that if you didn't have a background in technology, I kind of was like, who are you to come in technology now after all these years? I was kind of stuck up in it because I knew how hard I had been working in it, in a struggle for me as a black man getting in technology, especially here in the South. It's a struggle in it because they put you in a box and you ain't allowed to leave outside of that box. But now the attitude has changed because I think everybody should be a part of this whole technology craziness going on. Because one thing I heard I went to a conference and they had this naval officer there. And he was, he's traveled the world. And he was like, the problem with Americans is versus other countries, we're users versus them being creators.
Wow.
And he was like, we just use the technology that everybody else is creating and we don't even know how it works. Whereas they know how to use it and they can create it and they can develop it and make it more geared towards their own people. So from that point on, I was just like, okay, everybody needs to understand how technology, whether you're working or not, how technology works.
They need to understand it.
Yeah, and how you can use it in your own personal life. But either to protect yourself, protect your family, or protect friends that are around you.
Got it. That's right.
Got it.
That's good. So that's your mission. So what you've been doing.
I want to go back to the education piece because you said you went to community college. Where'd you go? Atlanta Technical?
No, what is it? Georgia Perimeter.
So Georgia Perimeter.
And then I went to online college after that.
Okay.
To finish
So
my degrees.
you did 2 year, and then you went on to finish your bachelor's. So for the job that you started out in, did it require you to have the 2 year degree or the 4 year degree?
None of the above.
Wow.
Really? Okay.
Because I had. So here's the thing, all corporate people. If you got people that work inside because you know somebody, they look more at that versus they do education. Now, the caveat to that though is if you decide call yourself trying to move up in the company, then they want
need the degree,
the education.
Okay.
So a young person coming out of school now, like I have an 11th grader, and if he were interested in network engineering, kind of going along the same path you went, what would he have to do now coming out of school? Like he'll be coming out of school in 24. What would he have to do to become a network engineer coming out of high school now?
So the thing I tell kids nowadays is don't just go to school to get a basic degree. Get a specialization. So like even if you want to do networking, get a specialization in networking, either networking security, doing like AI or things like that. Just don't get a basic degree. Now if you do computer science encapsulates everything, no matter where you're going to. Because I want to go to tech. The only reason I didn't even go to a major university is because my parents can afford it. And because they worked at Bell South, they said the financial aid said they made too much money. So I couldn't even get financial aid. So I had to pay for everything out of my own doggone pocket. But yes, I tell kids now, if you want to get into tech and you're going to school, decide on what you want to do in tech. No different than getting into law. Decide what you want to practice in technology because there is so much stuff that you can do now. It's crazy. They didn't have the things that they have now when I was coming up.
So how do you help them navigate that space when they're so young and they may not even know what area they want to go to? So I understand that advice, but how do you help them kind of hone in on something?
Find out what you like. Find out what you like and what you're passionate about. So if you want to know how to build your own application. Okay, well, let's look at coding then. And then there's different coding languages. So you have the basic, which is C++, C#. There's like the original grandfather codes. Then you have Perl. You have, oh my God, there's so many different programming languages now.
So since it is, where would is it someplace they can go to, like at your site or school or where can they get that information so they can have an idea?
Right. So with that, if you decide you want to like build an app or you want to do gaming or whatever, then I would tell them to get onto Apple. Now Apple has made a software application that's free and it's made for kids too.
Wow.
And it's their programming language they created called Swift. Swift is on all the iPads. It's on every iPad and you can actually do it from, I think it's from the MacBooks too, but it's free. And then what it does is
that's SWIFT Swift.
Yes, Swift. Yep, it's Swift programming language. Like I said, Apple has its foundation is based off of, I think it's C++, but they made it to where it's a lot, almost like BASIC. It's a lot easier to be able to program and configure it versus straight up, because C++ is hard and C# is hard.
Is it?
It's very hard. It's very math, so it's very hard.
Okay.
But so they made it to where you can easily come in and build your own app, learning their tools, and they make it fun because they make it almost like a video game. So you have to program the character to do different things on the map, and then sometimes build a map out. And from there, you'll find out whether or not you like coding.
Right.
Yeah.
And if it's something that you really want to do.
And that's a free way.
Yes,
Inexpensive, right?
Yes.
Right. And so you have other avenues like that if they want coding, networking.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then there are other, so you can look on YouTube too, because I mean, a lot of us, nobody, I don't care how long you've been working in the industry, nobody knows everything.
Right.
True.
Especially a lot of us old heads, because we forget the stuff that we learned back in the day. So the biggest friend that everybody has is Google.
Okay.
Yes.
So you can go onto YouTube too, and they give free tutorials. Because I'm talking all
YouTube
free.
University.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm not talking about anything paid for, because they do have stuff that you can, like they have Cyversity, they have Udacity. Udacity you can actually get a certification in.
Okay.
And I got that when I was working at Bell South too.
Okay.
And you can do a certification in programming. You can do like JavaScript. You can, I mean, they have all stuff on there.
Good.
Even project management. So if you want to do something in project management, they have that on as well too. But free. Just go to YouTube. There are a ton of people just giving tutorials on there.
Okay.
And you can practice it.
Okay.
You don't have to have a very expensive computer if you're just trying to learn basic stuff. Even if you want to get into web development. And I encourage people to do that. Like learn basic web development and do front-end development. Front-end development is just what you see on the website when you first pull it up on the web.
So when you go to conversationswithkatandkaren.com, that's the very
that's all front-end development.
Okay.
Now, if you really want to get hot and heavy into it, then you have back-end development. Back-end development is like where it's being stored at, how it's being, what it's hosted, and then like the where the data is coming from. Like if you have a SQL database, and that's where if you're building out forms and stuff, all you people that don't know that, your forms are stored in like a SQL database, and those will end up getting hacked. That's what ended up getting hacked this past election and stuff. But yeah, the one that it was with Stacey Abrams.
What?
Not this.
Okay.
2018.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yes, so front end, back end, and you can make a hell of a living doing that.
So if a young person's just starting out, they finished school, what's a salary range that someone just starting out would be able to
Expect. It varies. So if you do network engineering, you can expect at least 60,000 because you're going to get some internships. Like even AT&T, they offer a what is it called? A pathway to leadership program there. And it really is geared for interns. And they bring you into the company, you're making 65, 70,000 a year, and they bounce you around to all the different departments to see where you might call yourself wanting to land at. And then once you're done with the program, you finish it out, you finish your internship at AT&T, and obviously you finish school, and they hire you in full time, and whatever you like, that's where they place you at within the company itself. And they have a lot of companies that's doing it. Like even Google is doing things like that now because they want to make things more diverse, which they do need to make stuff diverse because it's under 1% of minorities they have within the company.
Under
1%, yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Did you say within the Google company or just in the industry?
Yeah, so what do they call them now?
So now, when you say under 1%, because that's astonishing.
It is.
So is that include that 1% is including
minorities?
All
minorities, yeah.
And
Asian, Black American, all 1%?
And is that Google or the industry?
It's all of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's all of them.
So we definitely need to change that.
And these are the people out. These are major tech companies. Now, AT&T, they do hire a lot of minorities.
Okay.
Yeah, they do hire a lot. I'm not going to say nothing negative about them. I mean, they've been feeding me my whole life. So, I mean, I have complaints, but who don't have complaints working on their job?
Absolutely.
But when you talk about big tech companies, it's like less. And they won't release those disclosures out because people have been asking for it. Even companies have been asking for it. They've been pushing them, but they won't release it out half the time because they know they haven't been hiring like they're supposed to. Because it was a major push for them to hire more minorities because they pulled this crap saying that, there's not a lot of people
that they couldn't they couldn't find
working in that field.
But I remember hearing this, and then the question is, where are your recruitment efforts being made?
Right.
Right.
Are you going to HBCUs? Are you going to college campuses where there's a large percentage of the BIPOC community?
Yeah.
You know,
STEM schools or anywhere where it's predominantly black.
Yeah, because the enrollment now for computer science degrees and basic like IT degrees, information technology degrees, is up. Like it's very up.
Right. It is.
So when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, you're not looking.
Yeah.
You're not looking. And then when you are trying to recruit people, you're making it so hard for them to get in.
That's
they don't
right.
qualify for even after the interview.
Right.
Whereas with other people, it's easy.
Okay.
They don't ask them all these hard questions. And it really, and yeah, they gear it up based upon how people feel about you. So they bring you into like a basic interview, and then they bring you to like, what is it, the group interview, where it's like the round table.
I hate those.
Yeah.
And the roundtable interviews are not looking at your basic skills.
Yeah.
It's like ability.
Right.
Like how everybody feel about you. They feel as though they can work with you on the team.
Yeah. Are you
Does the team like you?
Are
Yeah.
you fit for this team? Oh, you're not a good fit.
Yeah. I don't like those interviews.
Oh,
No.
Yeah. So you have your own podcast. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so to even go with technology and why I got into doing the podcast itself, and it's not even has anything to even do with politics. It's really because of the pandemic hit. Because I had always had other businesses and stuff I have done. So I used to be a personal trainer because I did mixed martial arts, and I trained people on kickboxing. I would come to the house and train people on kickboxing. So when the pandemic hit, I was like, okay, I don't want to work in corporate America forever, because one thing I've always been taught is that you never get rich working for somebody else.
That's right.
So I'm like, okay, what can I do to get another business going that I love doing? I can generate some revenue for. So I started streaming, playing video games, because I like playing video games. It's a detox for me. I don't care how old I get. I don't think it's something I would ever let go, because
So are you on Switch?
Twitch, yes.
Twitch.
Yeah.
I know, right?
I'm showing my age.
Right.
That was a almost 53-year-old person saying something like that.
Yeah, I'm on Twitch.
Okay.
Twitch. Okay.
Yeah, so I used to stream like every day during the pandemic because I was working from home anyway. But now I've tailored it back because of life in general, because I'm doing so much other stuff. But from there, because of politics, I was like, okay, we're missing information within communities.
That's right.
And I had been, my previous job, I was traveling the world teaching people about IT security.
Okay.
So I had to talk to different, people from different backgrounds and stuff, and different languages, and teach them how how the company I was working with, how their security platform can protect them in the key aspects of it. So I was like, if I can teach these people, and I've led a team of 35, and I can surely break down political stuff and talk about technology in a way for everybody to be able to understand. And that's why I started ptgtv, which is politics, technology, and gaming.
Okay.
Right.
Wow.
And so on there, you interview
candidates. Yeah. So that's
I was interviewed.
Yes. That's how I met. I interviewed Miss Karen Scott Green, and I interviewed Miss Catherine over here as well. And yeah, it was just first I wanted to talk to local candidates, because of one thing I did face when I was running for office. If you were not in the know, you didn't have access to the people.
That's right.
Amen.
That's right. That's right.
So I'm like, there needed to be a platform created to where local people can have their voice out there. Whether it's not a whole bunch of people listening or not, it's still something that exists on the web, and you can always share it. So if anybody asks, who are you, and then what are you passionate about, and why you're running for office, you say, well, here's my interview I did on ptgtv, and you can listen to the conversation we had there. Because one thing I always like to focus on, I still focus on to this day, is I don't care about people's policies when it comes to talking about politics. I care about who you are and the characteristics of who you are. Because politics, we all gonna lie.
Right.
You gonna say what you gotta say to win over somebody's vote.
No, they're not gonna do that.
Yeah. Okay. You gonna say what you gotta say because you want people to like you.
Yeah.
But I don't think you get to see people who they genuinely are are.
That's right.
If you just asking them pre-programmed questions.
That's right.
Which is why on my podcast, and just like you all's now, which, congratulations you all on your podcast.
Thank you.
Is just to have a general conversation.
That's it.
Because you can tell a lot from somebody.
That's right.
By having, you can use your discernment, because all y'all people up in here in the church, use your discernment, because you can discern people just from having a conversation with them and who their spirit is inside of them.
That's right. That's right. And that's what I love about your podcast, and that's what I love about you. You want to get to the person because it's truly the people, not necessarily the policy.
Yeah.
And once you see who that person is, you really get a peek on how they're going to lead and go.
Right.
So that's really important. And thank you for having me on your show. Both of us, I'm sure, so we had an opportunity to just let the people know who we were as human beings, as women.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons, like with us, with our podcast, is we had met so many interesting people who were doing so many just different things and just out there, and everybody has a story, right?
That's right.
So I wanted to have these conversations. We want to have these conversations where folks get to hear, like, what's Antonio Hicks doing? He has about 5 jobs.
Right.
Because we still haven't touched the surface on like everything that he's doing.
Nope.
But, just for people to hear, the things that you're doing. And he ran for office.
Yeah.
He ran for office. He's a talk show host. He has a podcast.
Just launched his business.
Yeah, just launched my business. Doing all that.
So, and these are the kind of folks we want to have conversations about.
And he's doing great work in the community.
Yes.
So that's really the crust of it, right?
Because I have to say, I'm going to put you on blast. We were going to church one Sunday morning, and we live in the Promised Land community. And that's right. And we're going to church. My husband and I were driving to church, and we look over on the side of the road. Antonio Hicks, along with Mr. Livesey, with Chad, are picking up trash on the side of the road, right down the street from my house. And I was like, if I wasn't going to church, I'd be out there. So I've seen you. I've seen you.
That's right.
I've seen you in these streets.
That's right.
I've seen you, and I've also seen you at party events. I've seen you, coming out supporting other candidates.
That's right. Yeah. Lions Club.
Yeah.
Yep.
You did. That's right. You do a lot of volunteer work with the Lions Club.
Yeah, I'm the VP of the Atlanta Caribbean's Lions Club.
Wow.
That's why I thought you were Caribbean.
No, I mean, and everybody, we're not all, nobody's, well, some of the people are Caribbean, but no. I was asked, and I'm like,
I thought he was Hispanic because Antonio. And I was thinking that you were like, because in my mind, you were either like Honduran, because there are Hondurans there are Afro-Hondurans with English surnames. So I was thinking you were either Honduran or maybe like part Puerto Rican or something. So I had made up a whole story in my mind about
I mean, I could be Portuguese, because when I went to Portugal, everybody was looking like me. I mean, they had afros and everything.
Right. I just always knew you were a brother, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hashtag Team Light Skin.
So, you're originally from Georgia, so that's cool.
We've digressed again, which is what we always do. But tell us about the work that you do with the Lions Club.
So I kind of tapered with all, like Karen said, I did run for office, and I ran twice.
Yep.
And both times it was a negative experience for me.
What?
And I kind of pulled myself, I kind of pulled myself away from the political arena, because I'm a very caring person.
Yes.
That's one thing I will say, but I care a little bit too much. And so things that I should be used to, I never can get used to, even in corporate space, which is why I didn't do leadership anymore. I was a manager for like 8 years, and I saw so much dirty stuff that people was doing, and I was like, we're supposed to be here for the sake of the people.
Right.
My team ended up being the best team across the Southeast region because I cared about my team.
That's right.
So much so that we would barbecue every week.
Wow.
Every week on my team, we would have a big family team barbecue of all 35 of my people. And it pissed everybody else off because we didn't make a part of barbecue. And because we managed our workload, we made sure that while people was out cooking and grilling in the back parking lot, the work was getting taken care of.
That's right.
And we became so efficient in it that they always gave us the new projects. When new technology was introduced, my team got it.
Okay.
And so, fast forward to today, I'm like, I still care about people. I care more about people than I do the politics.
Okay. Right.
And so when I see people playing political games and they only support certain candidates, it's not really an advocate for the people. It's just because they like them and or the investors like them, where they get all the bulk of the donations, but the real candidates aren't getting hardly any support at all.
That's right.
It put a sour taste in my mouth. So much so that my therapist told me I needed to pull away because my energy was just getting really affected by it.
Right.
So now here comes the Lions Club. I was introduced to the Lions Club by Dr. Angela.
Okay.
And she started up because she's a Lion herself, and she's been a Lion for the past, I think she said 15 years. So she started up the Atlanta Caribbean branch, and she asked me would I come in, and I was, and she asked me would I be a VP. And the thing I love about the Lions Club is not political.
Right.
It's all community service based.
Right.
That's the only thing they care about. There's no politics. They don't do any endorsements of candidates. It's about serving the people.
That's right.
And that's it. And that's why I lean heavily onto what we're doing with Lions versus anybody else. Now, I still try to help out candidates as best as I can. I haven't knocked on any doors. And I do kind of feel guilty about it at times because I do. Especially when it came to y'all. Yeah, I do.
I know, it's good.
I do. But, I try to offer my services out in other ways that can benefit everybody. And I'm not trying to...
folks on your podcast.
That's right.
Getting them exposure.
Yeah, and you knock on doors when you can because you have. You have knocked on doors.
For me.
I did. And I handed out material. I mean, I did do stuff for Karen too.
So,
But, my thing is always giving a voice to people because me being from here in the South, people that know my story, heard my story, I grew up where we cared about the community. So we didn't have homeless people around us. We didn't have people around us that was hungry because in our community, we took care of people.
It was a village.
So when I see that now, I don't care what I'm doing. That's why I try to use my technology to try to help people out. And I try to do community engagement stuff to make people aware of what they can do and how they can boost themselves up and get better careers and how to attain those careers, which I'm going to be talking about at the tech conference next week on the 29th.
Okay.
Is that, there's a door to be open for everybody. Okay. It's just trying to figure out what that door is and how to get into it and stop letting other people tell you what you can't do.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So I don't know if this might be the last question. I don't know. But of all of your self-care, you said you have a therapist. I have a therapist as well. When you think of self-care, what is some favorite things that you do to kind of recharge that our listeners can also do? Because life gets heavy. And so we all need to take a step back and make ourselves a priority and not be guilty about it. Right? So what do you do? What's your favorite thing that comes up for you for your self-care?
Take care of yourself. Like we put other people before we put ourselves. Even in the work that we do, we put the work before we put ourselves. So for me, some of my regimens, I meditate. I do connect with nature. I'm a nerd. I still connect with nature. I love nature more so than I do getting back home and getting on the computer. That means getting out, going for hikes, just to get out and just breathe. So. And you got a journal too. So it's always good to write down what is it you're going through and what you feel, and just to get it on paper, because that's a way of like detoxing yourself.
Right.
And just to get it out of your head. And you can look at it. Once you see it on paper, now your brain can come up with a potential solution on how to fix that.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's real important.
Okay. How can listeners find you? Where can they find you? On what formats? And then, how can they find you? Yeah.
So you can find me on ptgtv.online.
Okay.
That has all of my social media platforms on there. I haven't added my TikTok to it.
Okay.
But it has everything on it. So I'm on Facebook.
You on everything.
I'm
TikTok.
on Twitter. Hey man, I'm telling you, the reels on TikTok get you attention.
Okay.
Instagram, I'm on, I don't tweet as much as I used to, but I'm on Twitter as well too. So I'm on every place.
Okay. And it's
ptgtv.online.
.online.
Okay. Good. Oh, well, thank you, Mr. Hicks.
No problem. Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat,
where we're impacting the world one conversation at a time.
Thank you.